Trying to reconnect. Okay. This thing.
There's some way I can do our Facebook. Go live on our Facebook.
All right. I'm having a little bit challenge here. All right. My live is not working either. But anyway, well, we welcome you to In the Blender with Brandon and Madeline Hyman with our special guest on tonight. This is part 2, talking with Mr. Robert and Von Evans. We're going to start with our statistics. I'm going to give you guys a few statistics, and then we'll do a recap of the Evans introducing themselves. So our first statistic, according to the 2019 Census Bureau, according to the most recent data, 16% of children are living in what the Census Bureau terms blended families, a household with a step-parent, step-sibling, or half-sibling. This share has remained stable since the early 1990s, when reliable data first became available. At that time, 15% of kids lived in a blended family household. All told, about 8% are living with a step-parent and 12% are living with step-siblings or half-siblings. Statistic number 2, 1,300 new step families, I like to call them blended families, are forming every day. It's actually, I think now probably outdoing what our, original family is, but hey, we still family. That's what matters. Right. Still family. And the last one, 50% of the 60 million children under the age of 13 are currently living with one biological parent and the parent's current partner. That's interesting. So it's saying younger kids are currently living with just the one biological parent and then a parent, a parent partner. So which is not the biological parent. All right, so we're going to do a brief recap. We're going to let the Evans introduce themselves and tell you guys a little bit about them. We had a good time about 3 weeks ago, and we didn't get to finish all the questions we had for them. So we're going to jump right in so that we can finish off, hopefully, and answer all these questions. All right, so you guys can go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about you. And while you're doing that, I'm going to be watching you guys and talking, but trying to get us Facebook Live as well.
Real quick question, though. For those statistics, I didn't hear you identify if they had anything to do with race. Were those just children across the board?
Yeah, it didn't say anything about the race in this particular statistic. But I'm sure there's probably some that,
When you were saying those percentages, I was like, it sounds a little low, but.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I started last time, so you want to kick it off?
Okay. Well, I'm Von Evans. Well, I go by Von. Jean Voana Evans. I am the proud wife of Dr. Robert Evans. A little bit about myself. Currently, I am a life coach. I go by @Life Coach Vaughn. Absolutely just love what I do. Passion has been a passion of mine for quite some time. Made a transition from out of the cybersecurity space, I want to say, a little over a year ago to join my husband in his practice. We have a beautiful, beautiful blended family. Total of 6 kids. I bought 3 and he bought 3 to the party. That's what we normally say.
Right.
So we brought them all to the party. So we definitely understand the challenges and also the blessings that come along with being a part of a blended family. Oftentimes we don't identify ourselves as even a blended family. We say we are 8. We're not 3 + 3 + 2. You know what I'm saying? We are 8. We are 8 together. So that's it about me. I'll kick it off to this handsome fellow over here.
Well, she gave a nice introduction. Uh, I'm a licensed professional counselor by trade, industrial organizational psychologist as well. And my private practice, or our practice now that she's joined the team.
I know that's right.
We do individual, family, couples therapy, life coaching. We do all different types of trainings for leadership, motivation. I'm really getting into the consulting space, which has been very, very fun. And eventually I look to move full time into that and part time into clinical work. I love doing what I do clinically with the clients, and I also love to train audiences and large audiences. So, I gotta maximize the skill set, but that's what we do. We also have a driving improvement program and 3-hour drug and alcohol program that we look to turn into a substance use treatment program. So we have some things we want to do with that as well. That's pretty much us in a nutshell. Of course, is 8 of us all together, and we. The good thing is that we all love each other. So that's very important, because I know a lot of families where that's not the case. Some just don't like each other. So we really enjoy each other and be all up under each other, and so that definitely is a bonus.
Yeah. You said something, because I think it's very important to not only love someone but like someone.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
Love someone and not really like them.
yeah,
Absolutely.
That makes a difference. We know, according to the Word of God, God so loved that He gave. And we give love, but to like someone is like an added feature.
I'm telling you.
That's like you said, that's a special feature,
Right, absolutely. And I periodically tell him, I was like, you know what? I still like you. Like, we got something special going on here. Like, that's big,
And how long you guys been married?
It'll be 2 years. It was 2 years in May.
Yeah.
Okay. So in that 2 years, has it ever been a time where, like, for a moment or whatever, you didn't like him, or you experienced like not liking the children, or just like for a moment? And because like for myself, I remember early on, before I met Brandon, it was just me and my 3 girls. Mm-hmm. So we did things like the same way all the time.
Right.
We were able to come to my bedroom. It was things that we did, just bonded, just the 4 of us, because we were all women they were, women house. And then when he came in, it was like everything changed. And there was like no like time with the change. It was like everything was happening so fast. Mm-hmm. And I got to a point where, although I loved him, I like really did not like him. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Made things kind of hard. And then the kids kind of went through that, that part too, where we just don't like this working for us. So was there ever a time that, okay, I'm not liking him today?
Well, I think it's so funny, because I'm able to identify with, some of your story, because I had 3 girls as well. I brought 3 girls to the party, and it was us for quite some time. I had, separated and divorced their father. I want to say at least 4 years. I had been separated around about 5 years prior to meeting Rob, and actually divorced around about 2 or 3 years prior to meeting him. So even before that time, with being in a marriage, it's been always me and my girls. Like, we could look back at photos and things like that, and you would see me and my girls, not, even though I was married, even though we were in the same house, you did not see him as much in present. So it was definitely an adjustment to be made, right? And even to this day, we still make adjustments, but because we meshed so really well together, we spent a whole lot of time together, like initially. And he showed like this outpouring of love and attention that they were pretty much longing for. So it was a bit easier for them to kind of take it in, right? Is it 100% of him that I like or the girls like? I tell the girls it's about 5% of my husband that I be like, but the 95 overshadows the little quirks I don't, care about. So that's how I pretty much choose to look at the situation. Are there little things? Yeah, it is. But I'll be like, man, I love his draws. Like, it comes back with those things of like, but this, you know what I'm saying? So, those things do exist, and it would be untruthful of me to say, there aren't things about him or his ways that we definitely, or I had to make adjustments to, but overall, all in all, I like the dude. I actually like him.
Good. That's good.
Definitely some growing pains as far as just different things. Like you say, whenever you're taking people who you're not the same, we're not identical. So we're trying to now mesh in the same space and get along and have a good time. And there are going to be things that we don't agree on. There's going to be things that you like that I don't like. And I think when it comes down to actually liking a person, there's things that I may not like, but that doesn't mean I don't like her, or that doesn't mean I don't like the kids. There's aspects of things that they do that I may not like.
Right.
I think that's the distinguishing factor for me, is having that understanding that, okay, as a person, how do I feel about this person, and how does these things that they do, how does that play a role in how I feel about them? And the behaviors or the things that get on my nerves don't change how I feel about them. You know what I mean? So if that makes any sense.
It does. It does. It does. Wow. So did you guys have counseling prior to getting married, like with either you two or the whole family?
We had was it 10 weeks?
Yeah, it was a
10-week premarital where we met with a pastor and sat with him sometimes, an hour, a couple of hours, and for each session, and it was really good.
Well worth it. Yeah, we didn't have a session with the kids. I don't know why we never really thought about that. I don't think because it was maybe needed. Because, we got an in-house counselor right here. We have a, life coach right here. So for the most part, our kids are very transparent. They share things, whether it's with us individually, and then we pull together as a family. We've had family meetings and we're like, look, this is the time to really air it out, right? Good, bad, or indifferent, we want to hear everything. So, I don't think it came as a surprise because, of course, everybody knew that he was going to propose before I knew. And I don't think it was a surprise for anyone. And everybody was just truly happy because, again, we fell into the fold very, very quickly, like as a family. And it's like,
And that was before marriage. So,
yeah.
we were kicking it for 4 years before we got married. So, all of the boxes were checked prior to marriage. Right. So, and then I think that was what was really important as far as the kids go, is establishing a culture of communication, where in some households, there's not really a culture of communication where kids feel like they're free to talk and give their opinion and give their position. And, it's not like a disrespectful thing where kids can say what they want. No, we don't do that. But at the same time, they do know that they can talk about a topic or they can bring up what they're feeling. And we create opportunities for that. So, that's something that's very important. So we that's part of the process.
Mm-hmm.
How old were the kids when you two formed your blended family?
So the oldest were 14 because they're 20 now.
Yeah, 20
They're
now.
20. And then you go on down the road. Interestingly enough, he actually, while going through his transition, he had a newborn on the way. So, of course, that was a major adjustment, of course, for everybody. And for everybody to really understand what's going on. Ryan was 4. She was like 4. My youngest was 7. I had 7, 8, and 14. Okay. So, and he had a 14-year-old. So they were, young, and for the youngest two, of course, not the baby. But, for the 4-year-old, that was an adjustment for her, of course, because she's like, okay, my mom,
Right.
My daughters had we've been already, like I said, out of the situation for quite some time. So it was a little bit different for them. So, yeah, and I'll let you speak on it.
And there was an adjustment for my 14-year-old because it had been me and him for his whole life. Even with my previous marriage, it was really just me and him. So he didn't go to her for things. He always came to me. It was that division. So this was the first time he really had to come to us. He had to go through both of us. He couldn't just come to me. So that was a major adjustment because it was like, no, we're a team. So you got to communicate to us both. You got to text us both when you want something. You can't just text me. And you can't just go to her. You got to text us both, or you got to come present your idea to both of us. And that was an adjustment for him because he was like, I'm not used to that. I'm like, I don't care what you're used to. This is what it is. So get on board. It was one of those things that he had to kind of get strong arm a little bit so he could understand what it was. Right. But I mean, my whole thing is it'd be different if I brought somebody to the equation who was not showing you the love that you deserve. Mm-hmm. Then I would understand resistance. Then I would understand, all of that. But when somebody's coming to the table and they're trying to offer additional support, then what I'm giving, they are a compliment to me. And I need you to get on board with that.
Absolutely.
Because there's nothing that's ill. There's no malice. There's none of that. You may feel uncomfortable because she pulling you up on something. Fine, feel uncomfortable, but understand that the respect needs to be there. And, so once that was laid down, I mean, he just had to fly straight.
Now, which age group did you think were the most, had the most difficult time adjusting? Was it the older, the middle ones, or like the younger ones? Because I know with us, when we met, I had 10, 13, and a 16. And my 16-year-old at that time was expecting. So not only was he coming in to be a new father, also a grandfather. And I think for us, the youngest one, which was 10, well, his son was 2, but he's out of state, and he's always been out of state. So he was never, living in our home. So it was really him adjusting more so than I having to adjust to, having a blended son. But I would say, like, for us, the 10-year-old, I think, adjusted the best. I think she went through the process and it was a little bit easier for her because the 13, you're talking about, now you're a teenager. Again, they felt like mommy was being taken away. The adjustment, like I said, it wasn't really a long adjustment period for them to adjust to the whole situation of now we have someone else in. Now these rules have changed. Now this, it was just a big adjustment for everyone. And I would say like the 10-year-old, I think in our household adjusted easier.
Yeah.
I think from my perspective, my girls, they fell in love with him. They just, they fell in love with him. Of course, like you said, when there were tweaking of the rules and things like that, which is natural, right? It's an
Exactly.
adjustment period. I think it was his crew that might have had the, more of adjustment. Would you say that? Like,
I think it depends on the attachment that the children have with the biological parent. So the biological parent who's outside of the equation. So if they have a tight relationship with them, the conflict is going to be the loyalty that I have with this parent. Am I breaking that loyalty by now caring about and loving on somebody who represents the space that they're supposed to be in? So that conflict needs to be that it's okay. You can love both of them.
Yes.
You don't have to not love this person because you have this person.
Right.
And once they realize, okay, you know what, it's okay for me to love both of them. They can both be a part of the equation, and there's nothing wrong with that. Then it's all good. So I think that, with my youngest daughter, with hers, their mom is very much a part of the equation. Like they we split half the time. So she's over there, my son is over there, but it's a difference when it's a boy and a girl.
Yeah.
You got the girl who has the alliance with the mom.
Yeah.
But a little conflict when it comes to another female coming in the equation and gotta show love. But she was never disrespectful.
No.
She never showed anything. But at the same time, you could tell that there's a conflict. There's like, man, and I think the conflict comes when bio mom is maybe present. It's like, how do I show love to this person? And my bio mom is present. Like if we all show up at an event, something like that. Like because we all gonna come to the play. Everybody gonna come to the play. So we gonna sit over here. Bio mom and her family gonna sit over there. She'll come show us love at her time, and she'll show her other mom love too. But can she show us all love at the same time? I think that's something that she's gradually gotten better with being comfortable with. But I think it was just being uncomfortable at first, and having to grow into that comfort of, it's okay because she's not going nowhere. She's part of the equation. So, I'm going to have to show love.
That's good. That's good. And I do think at times kids do, I don't want to say like they may feel like they're torn, but there is times where they feel like, okay, how do I love this person and love this person? Not make my biological parent think that or feel some type of way.
Absolutely. That is definitely that's definitely a conversation that we've had times before, and even with my girls, like the father is there, but and they have time with them and everything like that, but it's still a sense of, I kind of know who I can go to for these type of situations, right? Daddy daughter dance, they're gonna call him, right? You know what I'm saying? It's just certain things they just kind of already know, not that they don't love or respect their father for who he is and how he is. It's just like, but then when it comes down to the dad word or the dad conversation, is like, well, can I call because he's deserving of this, but is it going to make him feel any type of way? Can I bring up the fact that he did this without that one feeling that type of way? So it's definitely an internal conflict, an internal struggle. And I believe with being the parents, being on the other side, it's hard for us to experience as well, because then we got to sit back and say, man, well, we all at the play. She comes by and, hi, give me this, and then go run to the mom. Whereas when mom is not around, I get that. It's like, hey, you got to deal with your emotions and your feelings too, and be able to understand, ultimately it's that conflict that they're experiencing and not necessarily anything towards you. So those are the, you like, it kind of hurt a little bit, right? It hurt, right? But it's,
But that's something that children do with the biological parents, let alone the bonus parent. That's something that they felt like, well, my loyalty is with mom, so I don't really want to show dad too much love while mom is around. I gotta wait for them to go and then I get the love.
Right.
I'm like, all right. So, it's one of those things that we had to learn that it's not personal. It's not, it's really them trying to manage the experience of having, bio parent as well as an additional parent. And how do I navigate that? And how do because children are very intuitive. They know who's in their feelings, who's heartbroken in the equation, and they don't want to add to the pain. They really don't. So they'll think, man, I don't want my parent to have their feelings hurt. So let me cater to them. Now, it may be a little different when both parents end up in a relationship, maybe married. Then they can feel a little bit more comfortable with, okay, this is the situation. But if one person is single, the other person moved on, that's a conflict because they're like, I got to take care of the person who's single.
Yep.
And they may have questions. They'll say stuff all the time. They'll be like, oh, well, such and such is, they're at home by themselves right now. So I'm worried about them. And so, it's just something that we have to be understanding as parents. Don't take it personal. Understand that your child is trying to make the necessary adjustment and let them know that it's okay to love everybody. You don't have to limit your love and say, well, I'm not going to love you because you have this person. Nah, you can love them too.
Absolutely. It's enough love to go all the way around. I think that times too, us as the, the parent, biological or blended, whichever category we fall in, which we kind of fall in both, kids involved, that a lot of times it's not about us, moving ourselves out of the way and doing, because me personally, I think that as adults, we can kind of handle pretty much anything, deal with the situation, come to resolutions. I think sometimes that it's the children a lot of times that have to kind of make the most adjustments, in a sense of like them not knowing sometimes how to release what they're feeling or what they're thinking. Like we had a time where we had all of our children on, well, except our oldest. She don't like, FaceTime and all that, Facebook, all that. And we asked them before, like, if you could go back, what would some of the things that you would do? And one of the things that one of our daughters said that was so important is if she was able to express herself more, in writing, because verbally they felt like they couldn't really, say how they really felt. But even if they could just have written it out and told us, how they feel. I mean, there's times now you wish you could go back and redo, but, like I say, we're 23 years in now and they're all grown, with their own children, except for the youngest, she doesn't have any. But just being able to express, allowing them to have a voice. And that's what I love about you guys. You all set up time where everyone can sit down in a safe place and say whatever. And there's no repercussions that come with that. This is a time where we sit. Now, would you say that that's, well, I would say, but would you say that's one of a good thing for any blended family to do?
Yeah, I would say it's a necessity. I absolutely would. If you think about just the dynamics of families, if you're not blended, if you are a mom and dad and children, bio everybody, you're going to have some of the same things play out where kids are going to want to go in their own silo and they're going to want to do their own thing and they want to isolate, and parents may not talk or parents may not have the children be involved. All of these dynamics happen in families in general. So if you have a family that's blended, I think it's even more imperative to make sure that those things don't happen, right? Because at the end of the day, when you have a family that's all bio, if those things are happening, they may give their brother or sister the benefit of the doubt. It's just how we are as a family, right? But if it's not and it's blended, you may take it some type of way. You may feel some type of way if this person isn't a part of what y'all do, or this person is isolated, right? People take things personally when they don't know any better.
Yeah.
And so when you have that type of dynamic, you have to, I think, go the extra mile to make sure that, no, we are a unit. We're going to do things together. And of course, we're going to have time where we separate and whatever the case may be. But we're also going to have some time that we're together. And you're going to know we do things as a team. You know what I mean? Like, we might have all the same shirt on and we are a team, you know. So that is something that needs to be established for sure when you have a blended situation.
Yeah. And oftentimes even they prompt them. They be like, we not doing movie night, we gonna play a game, right? We gonna sit here, we gonna talk, you know, we gonna sit here and eat dinner and stuff together. Like, so when they long for that, you know, that is something that, you know, especially with my girls, I did things a little bit different from me growing up, and I felt like they were imperative for me to, you know, put those practices in when it came to my daughters. So things like eating dinner together is something. Hey there. Welcome.
Man, when they got fly, I got the shrimp. Trimmed up real quick.
It was looking kind of rough.
But yeah, for the girls, like initially, even before blending, that is a stage that I had set for them because I didn't have that with my mom and you know, with her being a single parent, because she had to work all the time. So there were certain measures that I implemented that I felt like, you know what, I wish I would have had these things. And if I had these things, I could have had those tough conversations with my mom. You know, I could have been felt more free to discuss, you know, whatever was on my mind. So implementing those things and then bringing them into the equation was like, nah, we gonna cook together. We gonna clean together. We gonna, you know, do these things together. And when they're lacking in them, they're like, okay, so when we gonna go to the field and have a sports day? You know, when we're going to have family night, you know, that is something that they oftentimes prompt because we set the foundation for it. So.
Oh, that's good. That's good. We didn't do like any of the questions. We've been just going.
Okay, Lord, yeah, it's been
good. Yeah, you see, I'm trying to like catch up, like where we at? But you know what? I wanted to segue even from what I've been hearing, because I've been ear hustling while I'm on a conference call upstairs. And I wanted to ask you guys about vision and the role vision has played in your relationship and in your family.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think that it was one of the things that played a huge role in our union is that we both had vision. You know, she came to the table with vision. She came to the table with, this is what I see, this is what I want. And I came to the table with the same thing. So, you know, which made it that much more easy for us to say, okay, this is our unified vision. This is what we're going to do together. Because there was no tug of war. There was no pulling at, okay, well, this is what I want to do. No, this is what I want to do. It was, okay, we both are in alignment with where we see as our family and togetherness and team and all of that, and where we see things in the future as far as being able to provide. You know, when it came down to vision of certain things is my comfort zone and certain things is her comfort zone. So, you know, her comfort zone may be just kind of vision for the children and entrepreneurship and making sure that they're following suit with, hey, let's make sure you guys are rolling with these ideas. And, you know, I'm more of security mindset and making sure that, okay, where everybody has some investment set up and everybody got, you know, things lined up here. So, you know, as far as what I would say in a nutshell is we both are in alignment when it comes to legacy and having a vision for legacy and leaving something for the children. You know, for me, I think one of the best gifts is to leave them to be in a situation where they don't have to take care of us, right?
Exactly.
Because traditionally in the Black household, the children end up having to take care of the parents financially. It's like we gotta financially pour into them, and I want to be in a situation where we're able to pour into them.
Yes.
Financially. So but yeah, I think vision and us just having foresight and wanting to talk about future stuff has always been kind of very important for both of us, I think.
So what, on a scale of 1 to 10, that's a corny scale, but on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate vision?
Man,
It's
that's at the top, because it starts with vision. I think I posted this the other day. The first thing you got to have is a vision,
right?
And then you got to have desire. But if you don't have any vision, that means that there's no hope. You don't see beyond your circumstance. You feel like that's the best you got. And for us to both feel like, nah, this is just the beginning, and we just get started, and we got a whole lot more to go. That's very critical, because that I talk about that a lot with different couples. It's like when you are trying to align with somebody, y'all can see each other and be attracted to each other and can have a whole lot in common, but certain things need to be in alignment. Otherwise, there's going to be some major issues. If you have one person who is, let's say, they exceed expectations on the performance, right? Let's say the performance scale is, they unsatisfactory, they meet expectations, they exceed, and they outstanding, right? Well, if you meet somebody who exceeds expectations across the board, that means that there's somebody who always wants more for themselves. And that's not necessarily a better thing. That's just different.
Correct.
Because you have some people who just are good with where they are. They just don't have any interest of doing beyond that. And that could be good for them too, right? But if two people get together and they're not seeing eye to eye on that, there's going to be some friction. Because I want to chill and lay back and just watch Netflix all day. I don't have no interest on, making no more money or building no career or doing none of that. I want somebody to tell me what to do when I go to work and do my job and go home. And she want to build, and she want to be an entrepreneur, and she want to write books, and that's going to be major conflict, because I'm going to be like, why don't you sit your butt down somewhere?
And I'm going to like, why don't you get your butt up?
Why don't you get your butt up somewhere? Now we go back and forth, back and forth. Nah, you better be in alignment with your performance rating.
and that's so key, because, I think a lot of times in relationships, we don't understand what scripture says. My people perish for a lack of knowledge. And where there's no vision, the people perish. And so that knowledge and understanding along with that vision is what allows you to flourish, what allows you to grow, what allows you to do things that you can only just imagine. And I've seen over the years, a lot of couples, they just fall to the wayside because there's no vision.
Yeah. And because that's the future. Yeah. People are so concerned about the sight, which is present. It's what you currently see. And that's where people get hung up at, but if that vision, that's the future. That's, hey, what is, I need that foresight to see what's going to happen.
Yeah. I just gave that as a homework assignment today for one of my clients, because, the husband is the client, and there's some struggling going on with the relationship, and he's trying to mend. He's trying to build trust back. And I'm saying, y'all need to have a unified vision. So he has to go do a vision board, talk to his wife about doing a vision board, then they have to come back and do one together. So, that's very much aligned with, we on the same page with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And even when he talks about vision boards, like that is something that I do every single year, no days off. Like every year it is important. And I've even, the girls, they've started doing vision boards, pulled them into, hey, we're going to do a vision board party for the family, because it just makes things a bit easier, right?
Mhm.
It helps to keep you focused. That's another important thing about vision. If you know where you're going, if you know what your expectations are, it's easier for me to kind of map out, how do I get to that destination? So as we were going through marriage counseling and even having discussions and talking about what it is that we see for our family, for each other, for individuals, right? Because oftentimes we'll get caught up in the fact that, hey, I'm married now, and you forget about you as an individual. No, you shouldn't do that. You know what I'm saying? You should always keep those things at the forefront of you. So being able to have that vision board, hey, they see it too. So they understand if I'm saying like one on my vision board now, fit fab at 40, don't be giving me a whole bunch of sweets and don't be setting me up and all this other, you know what I'm saying? Be together, let's partner with it. So having that vision out there, making it plain for others to see and understand, to help hold you not only accountable, but to encourage you and support you in that direction. So.
No. Go ahead. What you was gonna say?
Good point.
No. I love it. Just the whole fact of just diving into each other's vision. Like you guys were talking about. There's some things that you see, then there's some things that you see, and just having the liberty. And that's one of the things that I found myself doing, because I was pretty private in our marriage, and so I would have a vision for things, but I wasn't really sharing it with my wife. And I realized, dude, you're really hindering yourself, because you're not bringing her on board with what you're trying to do. You know what I mean? And she's looking at me like, "Hey, Slim, what you doing?" You're just doing things that I don't even know what's going on. And when I realized, you know what, I can get a lot further bringing her on board, sharing that vision, and say, "Hey, this is what I'm doing. Come on, do it with me."
Yeah.
Instead of me trying to do it myself and bring her on board.
Man, what you hit that thing on the head. I told her she needed to do a seminar for women, man, to help them to understand how to intertwine themselves in the fabric of what their husband's doing. Like she got a knack for it. Like anytime I say something, she right there. So when is the meeting? Yeah. I'm like, I got a meeting tomorrow. I'm gonna talk a couple. Oh, what time is the meeting? What's the log on information? I'm like, damn, okay. She taking notes. She's like, yeah, okay. What we doing? Oh, okay. All over that. And it's a beautiful thing, because she fills in the gaps of things that I'm not strong at. Like I did a presentation for Howard County and did some stuff on cultural competency. And I did a WebEx. It was the first time I did a WebEx. But she's done WebExes and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So she said, just tell him you got an assistant. Like, well, my assistant said that she all over that, so we're gonna be all right. Absolutely. She set me up, bop, we good, right? So, I love it, man. I think that we like you said, we sell ourselves way short when we don't utilize our resources.
And because like once I really understood that, man, it's been like no limitations.
Man, what? Man.
It goes both ways. Yeah,
it's so fulfilling, because the excitement that I see in her, like, oh yeah, I'm a part of what you're doing now, because I thought I made her a part, but I really didn't.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times we got to find ourselves. We got to always assess ourselves. Do that self-evaluation and see exactly what you're doing.
Right.
So sometimes you can think you're doing the right things and you're really doing the wrong things.
Right. Absolutely. I learned that a long time ago, is when sometimes we come into a relationship with expectations, but we don't include our partner in that expectation.
Right. And that's where disappointment comes. Like, how you can be disappointed and you did not include them in your expectations.
And it can be a good thing. It's like, man, look, I got an idea, right? Look, we're gonna merge these finances together, and we're gonna go buy us a mansion, and we're gonna do this, and this. And she like, we're gonna do what? Nah. From the beginning, we need to include each other from the beginning.
Yes.
But we need, I'll speak for myself. I needed that, right? I understood, it took a minute. I won't say immediately. It took a minute for me to really understand that we don't necessarily have to have the same strengths to be an awesome team together, right? One of the things that I love to do, I love organization. I love things to be, you know what I'm saying? What time, where, we got things packed, we got things together. That's not his strong suit. And it used to annoy me if we talk about one of the 5% things I did not like until I got an understanding. Well, Vaughn, a basketball team does not have 5 point guards. A basketball team does not have 5 forwards. Like each person has their strong suit, and what makes them a championship team is because one, they understand their role and they understand that they all have the same goal in mind. So if that's not, the organization is not his strong suit, and you the brains behind you, Dr. Evans, you just get up there, you open your mouth and you talk. Everything else behind the scenes, I got you. We got this, And it made me, again, because a team needs different players, that's my role. And I'm going to play it to the best of my ability to help us reach that overall goal. So again, that made me feel a part of the team, knowing, hey, he doesn't have it all together. This is my strong. I'm going to handle this. You go ahead and be that doctor, boy. You be that doctor.
That's good.
No, I mean, that is so on point, man. That is so on point. So I think back to me trying to do things on my own. And I realized that I couldn't have a vision where there was division. You know what I mean? And so, like you said, you don't have to think the same thing, but you can still be looking the same direction. And so I thought that if she wasn't thinking like I was thinking, then we didn't have the same vision. No, I just didn't understand that, hey, she just looked at it a little differently than I did. And a lot of times there's a hindrance and there's blockages in marriage and relationship because selfishly we want the person, our spouse, to think just like we think. To see things just like we see things, and you know what I'm saying, and to have the same opinions. Well, sometimes I don't even like my thoughts.
Right.
Sometimes I don't even like my own opinion about stuff when I sit back and like, that was dumb. Like, that doesn't make sense. So to have her thinking the same way I think is
in trouble. We be in trouble.
Yeah, big time.
Right.
Big time. Sometimes I want to slap my own self.
I came up with that.
Exactly. Like, I knew I should have listened to her, so yeah, no. But I wanted to get you guys' views on that because, again, a very successful, prosperous couple, and that speaks volumes to vision. That speaks volumes to allowing each other to participate and incorporating each other into what you're seeing and where you want to go. Because one thing, I'm an optician. I'm a licensed optician by trade. And so people don't understand that what you see right now is really the past. None of us is never seeing in the present. The present is progressive, so it's always moving. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
That's true.
Wow.
That's forward, but you're never still.
Right.
Even when we're sitting still, guess what? We're still moving.
Yeah.
And so it's important to get that other viewpoint, to get that vision, to get those extra eyes seeing along with you and allowing you to get to where you need to go to.
Yeah.
Well, I think an important part in that and talking about vision and us being able to, we have comfortable spaces where we have the discussion, right? I can recall back in previous relationships where I didn't feel comfortable having that discussion with a vision, by, feeling like, one, she's bossy, she thinks she got it all together, inadequacies, insecurities spill out in the conversation. I don't have to have all of that with this because this is a safe space. That foundation was formed in the beginning to say, and of course, did it take some adjustments? Yeah, I'm like, I'm very much that separate thinker because I'm used to making it happen on my own, being a woman, having 3 girls, it's like so independent, so to find that level of, humility You know what I'm saying? And vulnerability. It came because he showed me he was worthy of it. So, you know, being able to have that discussion about the vision and all of those things, I needed that first. Otherwise, that is where the division is going to come in. You're going to keep having those separate kind of overall where we want to go. Hey, I want to go this way because I don't trust what you're saying is for the benefit of us. I don't need to have that discussion because he's proven himself, right? So, you know, that's a very important part in the discussion, you know.
And I think also from a man's perspective, I see oftentimes where men struggle with the definition of manhood in the relationship and what that looks like. A lot of men feel like they are supposed to be the ones to make the decisions and their wife is supposed to follow suit. And they find on the hard way that that's not going to work out like that. Right? You're not going to come in and say, this is what it is, this is what it is. Not with a sister. This is what it is, this is what it is. And she just going to follow suit and not have no opinion or not have a position. No, and it's not the best way to do it anyway, because your way may not be the best way.
Correct.
But a lot of guys feel like it's challenging their manhood when they are utilizing their wife as a partner versus laying down, this is what we're doing. And that's something that we do a lot of work of really redefining what manhood is and understanding that that's not leading. You know, it's what type of leader are you going to be? And we talk about leadership styles and all of that. And my favorite leadership style is transformational leadership. And that's not the leader that's going to say, hey, y'all, do it this way. It's, hey, y'all, this is my idea. What's your idea? How can we make this work? What do you think? Right? And now everybody feels like they're part of the process. And now we roll. And when you do that with your partnership, that form of leadership is going to go way farther than coming in and saying, hey, this is what we about to do. So from a manhood perspective, I think for guys, it's really just taking a look at, okay, what does it mean to be a man in the relationship? Because it doesn't mean that you have to call the shots and say, this is what we're doing all the time. And that's it. And that's all. Right. That doesn't necessarily make you the man in the relationship. And that's something that's I see a lot comes up as an issue a lot.
And you know, one of my favorite quotes is, the power to define is the power to fulfill. And so a lot of times, to your point, as men, a lot of men don't even know their role. They don't know the definition of manhood. They don't know the definition of husband. You know, and so I remember I was talking to a guy, and he just I mean, we never known each other, just met him, and he just started spilling to me like, hey man, listen, I gotta get something off my chest. And the guy was telling me, you know, he was unfaithful to his wife, and you know, he gotta tell her because he was feeling real guilty. And so I was like, so what got you to that point? And he was like, yeah, man, you know, because you know, she don't make me feel like a man. I'm like, so what do you mean by that? And so he's like, yeah, you know, I pay the bills and I do this and I do that. And I say, can I ask you a question? He said, sure. I said, if you wasn't married, when you pay the bills? He said, yeah. I said, if you weren't married, when you take out the trash? He said, yeah. Well, if you weren't married, when you clean the house? Yeah. If you weren't married, when you cook? Yeah. Okay, so then how is that the definition of that?
Right.
Right. So I mean, think about what you're saying. She's right. You know what I'm saying? It's those things that you're not paying attention to that defines that role. Because if you were married or not, there's just certain things you would just do anyway.
Right.
And so a lot of men, for us, it becomes frustrating because those roles were never properly defined anyway growing up. You know what I'm saying? Because you always heard, I bring home the bacon and you cook it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You heard statements like that. And so that became the mark of what a man or a husband should do or should be, when in actuality, if you're not loving, if you're not caring, if you're not nurturing, if you're not doing those intangibles, those what makes us husbands.
There you go. There you go.
You know, and so I just wanted to, you know, I can never do the dog job, but I wanted.
No, you did excellent, brother.
Yeah, you hitting it.
Like
I
that.
just wanted to jump in there with that because I wanted your feedback on it, you know.
Yeah, that's good.
And so
We're down to 5 minutes. I can't believe it. We didn't even ask.
Didn't get to the questions yet. Get one question out there.
hey, let's get a question, babe.
All right, let's see.
I think they try to set it up for us to come out.
It's such a good time.
Okay, so
Well, hold on, babe.
What?
But listen, no, I'm gonna tell you guys something. I got so many praise reports, man, from the first time you guys were on.
Oh,
I
really?
mean, like you guys really blessed a lot of
Yeah.
people.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
just
Glory to
the
God.
wisdom, you know what I'm saying, the understanding, the whole 9 yards. So it was an absolute pleasure for
Oh, good.
you guys back on again. So if we blowing this out to make it a third time, then
We here. You see? We here.
Let us know your free Tuesday.
you know, you guys came so strong with it. My mom called me, was like, "Hey, who was that you had on?"
Oh, really?
Wow.
Like,
Yeah.
as soon as the broadcast
As
went off,
soon as
she
it was
calling.
over, she called.
That's super dope.
Yeah.
Super dope.
Good.
And moms don't call for everybody.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll take that as a huge compliment.
So that was big. That was big.
Yeah.
So we'll just end with this one question, but again, do let us know y'all schedule. What is one piece of advice that you would leave someone that's going into a blended family?
Going into a blended family.
Yes.
What is a piece?
One thing.
One piece of advice. I think we gave a lot. You got something on the top?
It's going to always just boil down to that communication
that's what I was gonna
piece,
say.
man. It's going to be transparency. No matter how hard it is best digested up front. Let's be honest, right? Because I feel like that is the breakdown in a lot of, and even just outside of the blended family portion, people can't or don't feel like they can be transparent, because you'd be surprised what your partner can actually deal with or handle if you just put it out there on the table. And then you say, okay, oh, that was a hard pill to swallow, but let's work on this together. That secrecy, that division, all of that, it absolutely, it's you're starting off just on the wrong foot. So choose to be, to communicate and choose to be transparent from the very beginning. I'm telling you that, like I said that last time, that was the thing that, really had me heads over heels for him. I'm like, wait a minute, he was transparent. He literally said, like, and to wrap it all up, I'm in a separation, but she's expected. And I was like, wow, what do you do with that information but sit there and process it and says, you know what? It's unfortunate of the circumstance. And again, this wasn't during a period of time that he was trying to get at me or I was trying to get at him. None of that. It was, hey, let me let you know what's going on so that you can just be aware. And because he made me aware, I was able to deal with the situation accordingly. It was like, okay, well, you finish that up. You figure out what deal with that. But it helped me to respect him as a man. It helped me to understand the situation itself is unfortunate. However, that speaks to his character.
Absolutely.
So that means if he's going to be transparent about that, there's some other situations that may arise that, it lets me know who he is. So I would definitely say it just really boils down to that communication, transparency, expectations. Be upfront with that.
Yeah, mine was going to be communication, but I was going to say it a little different. I think that, like we said earlier, if it's a complete bio family, you're still going to have some of the same issues. I just believe that in a blended family, they can be amplified because people take things personally, people misunderstand things, and people may chalk it up to, oh, this is somebody who's not necessarily my bio sibling or my bio mom. They'll use that as a cop-out versus you being held accountable, right? So for me, it's about self-expression and really creating an environment where self-expression is okay. So, I think it's going to be important to really institute and take initiative and be intentional about creating opportunities for self-expression as a family, where, if there's a problem, like, for example, we had an issue that something happened and there was a question like, well, why did this person do that? Or, what was on that person's mind? And there's speculation going on. And for me, even when I was in management in the federal government, if one person on my team, if I found out there was some type of tension, I called a team meeting and we talked about it. I aired it all out. We didn't have no behind, backdoor talking, none of that. So in the family, we're not going to have somebody who may have an issue about somebody and we don't talk it out. It's let's get it all out on the table and find out what this person was thinking. And let's address it so we can get it over with, right? So I think, again, under the communication umbrella, really, really making sure that you are being intentional about creating opportunities for self-expression, open communication, and transparency. So that's.
And to put the cherry on that unit has to be a unit. They have to be on that same page. They have to.
Yeah, it's not optional. I think that's something else that was very important for us is that you have to take the option out of the children's hands.
Yes.
They can't opt out, right? Nah. And I think some of that is coming to the table with an established rapport and relationship with your child prior to trying to blend them. Mm-hmm. And that could be an issue that shows its ugly head when you're in the blended situation. If you already didn't have the type of dynamic that you needed prior to, that's not going to all of a sudden fix your dynamic. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that was important for me was to see how she parented her children. So I know how I parent mine, and I'm like, I need to see the alliance and the respect and all of that there between them before we blend, because all that's going to just be amplified. If the children are not respectful to her, they're definitely not going to be respectful to me. Mm-hmm. So, those types of things definitely have to be on point. And I think that, that's important to note.
That's good. No, that's good on that.
Well, guys, wow, we out of time. Oh, wow. Go ahead, sweetie.
All right. Well, you guys just let us know though if you're free, later this month, if you guys can jump back on, and I promise we'll finish it out.
We'll finish it.
Oh well, hey.
You want to get one more question in, or we good? We done?
I think the time.
Because when they fit it in on the radio on Thursday, it's in the 1 hour block. So So with that. This will be replayed on Thursday night, 8 to 9 p.m. on WJMS Radio. You can also catch this broadcast on YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, all of the social media outlets. You can also email us at weareablendedfamily@gmail.com, and our website is intheblenderministries.com.
Hey.
Thank you so much again. So humbled to be a part of it.
Thank you all so much. And until next time, bye-bye.
We holla.